Okay, we are on Dalid Amud Aleph, right on the bottom. Second to last line, by the two dots. So we're quoting the Mishnah. The Mishnah said, had different opinions as to when the latest time to read Kriya Shema is, and the Chachamim said the latest time is Chatzais. Chachamim kaman Svirulhu. So the Gemara says, who do the Chacham hold? Like, Ika Rebbe Eliezer, Svirulhu, Lemak Rebbe Eliezer. Meaning use again, why a roundabout Lashon? If they hold like Rebbe Eliezer, say they hold like Rebbe Eliezer, very simply. V'Ika Rabban Gamliel, Svirulhu, and if they hold like Rabban Gamliel, Libru Rabban Gamliel. Say they hold like Rabban Gamliel. Why again, the roundabout Lashon? Why give them their own thing? Ar Chatzais. Just say who they hold like. So it says, La'ilam Rabban Gamliel, Svirulhu. Really, they hold like Rabban Gamliel. That the latest time is later. It's until Alois HaShachar, if you recall. The only reason they said until Chatzos, like we mentioned in the Mishnah, is to distance a person from doing an Aveira, so that he shouldn't procrastinate, push it off, and then Alois HaShachar will come in the latest time, and then he'll forget to read Kriya Shema. No, so the Chum said until Chatzos. Really, L'chatchila, you have to do it until Chatzos, but b'di'eved, you can really read it until Alois HaShachar. Time you learned in a brayso. Chachamim asu saigul devarim. Chacham made fences for their words. In order that a person shouldn't come home from the field at night. And he'll say, "Listen, I'll go home. And I'll eat and drink. And I'll take a little nap. And afterwards I'll read Kriya Shema and I'll daven. Right? No problem." You know the only problem with that is sleep will overcome him, he'll get very tired, he's been working all day, and then he'll sleep the whole night and he'll forget to read Kriya Shema. Right? So that's why the Chacham say, when you come home from the field, go straight to shul. And in Ragalikrois Kaira, and if you learn Chumash, then read the Chumash. If you read and if you do Mishnais, then do Mishnais. The Kaira Kriya Shema Mispalel, and then Va'oichel Pita Imavarech, and then you can go home and start eating. So therefore, the Chachamim said, instead of going home and then you're going to procrastinate and eat and drink and get tired, you're going to forget to read Kriya Shema. Go straight to shul, do it first, and then you can worry about it, and you can go home and eat. Very strong lashon. Anyone who doesn't follow this is chayiv misa, which is a very, very strong lashon. So why here specifically do we say chayiv misa? We didn't say that about any of the other cases, that if you don't follow this man and you're chayiv misa, if you don't follow this man, you're chayiv misa. We only say by chatzais. Why is that? Why over here specifically do we say chayiv misa? So two answers. Because sleep is very difficult to overcome. Someone's very tired, they come home at night, and there's a very good chance they're going to fall asleep and forget. So therefore, it's very important that they before they even give themselves a chance to go home and sleep, they say Kriya Shema. So that's one answer. Or you could say Lafuki Imanda Omar Tfilas Arvis Rishus, to exclude those people that hold that Ma'ariv is a Rishus. Kamash Malon Dechayve. That's machlek is as to whether Ma'ariv is a Rishus or a Chiyav. Is one obligated to read to daven Ma'ariv, or is it just a Rishus? It's a nice thing to do. So the Chacham say, I'm telling you that if you don't do your Chayiv Misa, must be that Ma'ariv is a legit thing. It must be that Ma'ariv is a Chiyav. It's not just a Rishus. Okay. Weiter. Amamar Kairi Kriya Shema Amaspal. By the way, the best time to read Kriya Shema is right after Tzeis. Earliest times. Reason Makdim L'Mitzvah is the earliest time by all the tefillah, some say, right? The earliest time to read Kriya Shema. But b'di'evet, they have the 2 o'clock in the morning. Ma'ariv is probably okay. But best time is the earliest time. Amar Kairi Kriya Shema Amaspal. One who reads Kriya Shema, one should read Kriya Shema and daven. This is a proof to Rabbi Yochanan. The Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, Eizehu ben Olam Haba. You want a one-way ticket to Olam Haba? Here you got it. Who is a ben Olam Haba? Who gets Olam Haba? This is someone that connects Geula to Tefillah. Meaning that at the end of right before Shemona Esrei, where we say Gal Yisrael, go straight into Shemona Esrei. And in that way, someone will earn an entrance into Olam Haba. Let's feel Shal Arvis. So here he's talking about by Ma'ariv. Shimon Levi Amar Tfilas be'emtza taknum. Right? And Shimon Levi says, no, Tfilah be'emtza taknum. He says that you read the 2 Kriya Shmas in between the 2 Shemona Esreis, right? Meaning, what do? You do Shemona Esrei by Shachris, I'm sorry, you do Shemona Esrei by Ma'ariv, then you do Kriya Shema, then you do Kriya Shema by Shachris, and then you do Shemona Esrei. So the two Kriya Shemas are sandwiched in between the two Shemona Esreis. Obviously not the way we do it. We do Kriya Shema Shemona Esrei, Kriya Shema Shemona Esrei, but he's saying to sandwich the Kriya Shemas. But my kamifli, what's the basis of this machlekes as to where you put the Kriya Shemas? So two ways to explain what the machlekes is. Either you could say Kra, that it's a pasuk. Or Iba say Masfara. You could say it's just a Sfara, it's logical. Iba say Masfara, what's the logical way to explain the machlekes? The Rabbi Yochanan Savar Geula Me'orta Nami Havi. That Rabbi Yochanan holds that there was also a Geula at night. Ela Geula Ma'al Yisrael Loi Havi Ala Ad Safa. Why by Yitzias Mitzrayim, when the Jews went out, the Geula started at night but continued until the morning. So therefore the Geula is all one thing. So it should be so the Iker is in the morning. Since they really didn't, the whole Geula wasn't complete until the morning, so therefore it wasn't really considered as if the Geula happened. So therefore you have to sandwich the two Kriya Shemas in between. That's the Svara to explain the Machlekes. Or you could say it's a pasuk to explain the Machlekes as to when you read the Kriya Shemas. And they both darshan from the same pasuk. From that aforementioned pasuk. That when you lie down and when you get up. Rabbi Yochanan Savar Meikish Chiva Lakima. Rabbi Yochanan says you compare lying down to arising. Ma Kima Kriya Shema V'achar Kach Tefillah. Just like when one rises in the morning. What do? Of course, they first read Kriya Shema and then they daven Shemona Esrei. Av Shchiva, also when one goes to sleep, meaning at night, when one davens Ma'ariv Nami, Kriya Shema V'achar Kach Tefillah. Right? So just compare the two. If you do Kriya Shema first by one, do Kriya Shema first by the other. And what about Rabbi Shua that says you sandwich the two Kriya Shemas in between? So Rabbi Shua and Levi Savar, Meikish Shchiva Lakima. Compare it the other way. Makima Kriya Shema Samach L'mitasai. Just like when one gets up, they read Kriya Shema closer to getting up than they do Shemona Esrei, right? Because Kriya Shema is first. Af Shchiva Nami Kriya Shema Samach L'mitasai. So to when one lies down, Kriya Shema should be closer to when one goes to bed. Masav Bar Dvei Baravina Be'erev Mevarach Shtayim L'fanea V'Shtayim L'Acharea. So Frek Baravina, he asks a question. At night we said that you make two brachas by Ma'ariv, by Kriya Shema and Ma'ariv. You make two brachas before Kriya Shema and two brachas afterwards, right? So therefore, right, right? And if you want to say by lismach, I'm sorry, and if you want to say that you need to connect Geula to Shemona Esrei, but you're not doing that by Ma'ariv. Why? Because the Habayi L'meimar Hashkivenu. Right? You say Hashkivenu. After you say Go'al Yisrael, then you say the whole bracha of Hashkivenu, and then you say Shemona Esrei. Some say Baruch Hashem, but even if you don't say the big bracha of Baruch Hashem, you still say Hashkivenu. So that's still a hefsek in between Geula and Shemona Esrei. So how can you say that you have to connect them? You have to say Hashkivenu. So Amri, they said, given that the kin Rabbanan Hashkivenu Geula Arech L'Dami, very famous Gemara, since the Rabbanan were misaken in the davening that one should say the bracha of Hashkivenu, it's as if it's a long and extended Geula. It's as if it's a long Geula, which is, the question is, what does Hashkivenu have anything to do with Geula? Right? I mean, it doesn't really mention Geula in it. So what do you mean it's a long Geula? The answer is Hashkivenu was written on the night of Yetzias Mitzrayim. So it's as closely linked to the Geula as possible. Even if it doesn't say it explicitly in the Tefillah, it was said on the night, so it's a hint, obviously, to the Geula. And there are several other times where we make a hefsek in between Geula, like on Yontif, we say Vaydaber Hashem, right? Vaydaber Hashem and all these things, and on Rosh Hashanah, but they're all connected to the Geula in some way. Okay, the Eloi Teimachi, if you didn't say this, Shachri Heichamatzi V'Samech, then Shachris would have the same problem. You know why? We wouldn't be able to connect Geula to Shemona Esrei either. Why? Because Amar Yechanan, Betchila Amar Shem Sefasai Tivdach, Ulbasaifu Amar Yula Ratzin Amar Fi. We know that before we begin Shemona Esrei, we say quietly, Hashem Sefasai Tivdach V'Yaget Tilasecha. That is in between when we say Go'al Yisrael and begin Shemona Esrei. So it must be Elahasim Kivin Dekatina Rabbanan Lemeimar Hashem Zivzai Tiftach Ketila Arich Ledamya. It must be right that since the Rabbanans were misaken and instituted that we have to say these words in davening, it's as if it's an extended Geula. So Achanami here also Kivin Dekatina Rabbanan Lemeimar Shkivenu Geula Arich Ledamya. So therefore we don't have the question. And we see that, again, one way ticket to Olam Haba, one should be Saimech Geula L'Tfila. And we said, well, really there are brachos in between Go'al Yisrael and Shemona Esrei. In reality, we said, the answer was that they're not hefsekim, they're not breaks, because the Chachamim made it that way. If the Chacham made it that way, it's not really considered a break. Okay. And you want another one-way ticket to Olam Haba? Here you go. Amar B'Eliezer, Amar Rabba Avina. Kol ha'omer tehila LaDavid b'chol yom shalosh pa'am muftach lo shehu ben Olam Haba. Anyone who says Ashrei Yoshvei V'Secha, right? Anyone who says Ashrei 3 times every day, he'll be a ben Olam Haba. Go to Olam Haba. My timer. Ilemo. So what's so special about Ashrei? By the way, it's important to note. Seems like a very easy ticket, right? But obviously it's harder than it looks because you have to say it in the real way with kavana and everything to really know Hashem runs everything and Tehillah David, and you know that when you say Paseach Hasadecha that He's really supporting you every second. You got to really know, but if you do it properly, then Ben Olam Haba. There you go. My time. What's the reason that Ashrei is so special? What's so special about it? If you want to say because it has all the letters of the Aleph Beis in it, right? So it encompasses everything. Nema Ashrei Tamimei Derech. The Yisei B'Tam Yavin, right? So, but you could say Ashrei Tamimei Derech, which also has all the letters of the Aleph Beis. So there are other tefillos that have all the letters of the Aleph Beis. What makes Ashrei special? No, rather you could say, why is Ashrei so special? Because it has the line in it, Poiseach Esedecha, right? We should open our hands and Hashem will provide us with everything. Very famous line. So that's a great line. So that's why Ashrei is so great. But we say Noisem Lechem L'chol Basar, right? That's also a tefillah that mentions Hashem gives bread and provides for everyone. So what makes Ashrei so special? It doesn't really seem to stand out. So the reason is El Mishum de Isbei Tarti. You can combine the two. It has every letter of the Aleph Beis, and it has Paseach Hasedecha. If you look in Ashrei, you'll see that the only letter that's not there is a Nun. Why is that? Because it represents the downfall of the Jews. So we see the Nun is nifla, is falling. It represents the falling of the Jews, so it's not a good thing. We don't want to mention that. B'marava mitartzi, and in the West, in Eretz Yisrael, they would answer la hachi nafla v'loi taisif linfal ad kum b'sulas Yisrael. Okay, so that's why we don't say the nun. Amar v'nachim bayitzak afilu hachi chazar David v'samchin b'ruach hakodesh. You could even say that David really retracted, and he really did put the nun in there through ruach hakodesh. How? By the samach, which is after the nun, right? It does say, there's a hint to a nun in there. It says l'chol ha-naiflim. The nun in there is where the nun is in there. So therefore, either you could say the nun is not there because it represents the downfall of the Jews, or you could say it really is in there, just not in the same way as the other letters. Okay, let's just do a little more, and then we'll call it a day. Amar Balazar Baravina Gadol Mashenemar b'Michael Yosim Mashenemar b'Gabriel. The angel Michael, right? Greater is what is said about Michael than is what is said about Gabriel. In what way? So let's see. The ilu b'Michael ksiv by Michael, it says Vayayif Eli Echad Min Asrafim, that there was one flying, right? They flew right over him. The ilu gabe Gabriel ksiv Vayish Gabriel Asher Isi b'Chazon b'Tchila Ma'oif b'Yaif. Ma'oif b'Yaif is a double lashon. It was 2 flyings. It took them longer to get to Gabriel than it took them to get to Michael. So Michael was greater in that sense. My mashma, what's mashma from this? Dai echad michal hu. Amar b'Yochanan, he say echad ksiv. It says echad twice. Ksiv hacha v'yayif eli echad min asrafim. Ksiv asam v'nei michal echad min hashar. So how do we know that echad is referring to Michal? Because the two psukim are next to each other, and by one of them the echad is next to Michal's name, so therefore we know it's referring back to him. Tana, we learned Michael ba'achas. Michael was there the quickest. Gabriel b'shtayim. Gabriel, we said, was 2 flyings, right? It took him a little longer. Elio barba. Elio will take twice as long, right? Twice as long as Gabriel. Malchamavis b'shmoyim. Malchamavis takes twice as long as Eliyahu. B'shasa magefa. But at the b'shasa magefa, when there's a plague, ba'achas, it'll be very quick to come. That's a bad thing to end off with. Maybe we should just, not a bad thing, but not a nice thing called about plague. So let's just read another line. Right? Shimon Levi says, which we'll go over this again when we continue, even though one reads Kriya Shema in shul, one should read it on his bed. That's what we do before we go to sleep. Kriya Shema Mitasai, which we could obviously discuss a little more next time. Okay, shkayach everyone. That is Daled Amud Beis. We're on the second to last line, or the last line of Daled Amud Beis.